Morning, everybody. So we have a couple people competing for first first place. So good morning, guys.
It's a tie. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Well, I was not here last week for most of it, so I'm going to let Nikki tell you how last week went with sourcing. Anything new going on, or how did last week go?
If you could think of something being a train wreck, that was probably last week. So unfortunately in our area there's like a flu bug going around and literally all of us have had it at this point. So I was out a couple of days and Cayley was out a couple of days and so was Michaela. She's also not back because she's on a trip right now. But moral of the story, last week we started off really strong on Monday. We went sourcing on Monday and got a little bit of things done then. And then unfortunately, like I said, I was out Tuesday and Wednesday. But I ended up going sourcing on Thursday and Friday of this week. Thursday, I don't know what it was, if like the gods just knew I needed like this magical day. But it was so good. So we went to our local bins. I ended up getting, I think, like 40 items ish there, and then I ended up finding another almost 20 at just two Goodwills. So it was like new cart galore. I walked in and I was like, I always do that like head check, like, do I need a cart or not? And I definitely needed a cart. So we are working on kind of getting back to normal. We somehow did magically finish off our batch for last week, last minute, and we are pushing ahead to doing well this week. So cross your fingers for us. Send us all your good juju because we need it. So
yeah, over 50 in one day by yourself is like really good, I think.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I came back and I like knew I had a decent amount because I had 3 totes of stuff in my car, and I was like, I just want to count just so I feel better, and that definitely made me feel good for Friday. Friday I ended up with 35, not quite as good, but still pretty good for going to the bins and just one quick run through in a store. So I see it's 6 a.m. in the coast on the left side. So good
Good
morning.
morning.
I hope you have enough energy for me at 6 a.m. where you are, because I've already had my go-go juice. So
Yeah, thanks for joining us this early, and good for you for being up. Early bird gets the worm for sure.
So I'm gonna just preface today with, last week we got really behind. We legitimately only have 30 minutes today because we do have to get ahead because of last week. We also brought our paper, but it looks like we're already not going to have a chance to roll on that. So I'm going to interrupt Cayley often, and we're just going to read questions aloud so you guys can hear them. So if we're kind of jumping all over the place, it's just because I really want to make sure that we get to the majority of the questions today.
And if we don't answer your question, make sure and join us for the next live. Right now, I'm committing to every Monday at 9 a.m., possibly a Friday, but that'll kind of be more a surprise if we have time. But so if you don't catch your question this week, then make sure and join us for next Monday's live, and I'll try to put up reminders like I did with this one. Hopefully you guys saw that, and if you do see that pop up, make sure to click the little reminder button. That way you do get notified to follow along when we're going to go live.
So this isn't necessarily a direct question, but it is from Donna talking about scammers. So she says she's pretty new to eBay and listing, has about 80 items up, and needs some advice because the majority of the items she's selling are going to scammers. Do you have anything you want to add on that? I know you have more experience on scammers than what I do. Every time something freaky happens, Kaylee's like, that's a scammer. That's just don't, it's a scammer. So maybe she's got some advice.
So, Donna, it is good that you are new and you're like noticing that, because a lot of new sellers don't know that things are scams. I have an entire video about scammers, which I probably should have grabbed my pen, but I can link that in the description box down below if you give me a minute after this goes live, or just search my channel. But I do have a video. I'd recommend you watching that. But I will say first and foremost that people target new accounts. So because you don't have a whole lot of feedback, because you don't have a lot of experience under your belt from what a scammer can see, those are the accounts that they target. So just know, as you start to sell and become more established, I assume you're talking about on eBay, did she say?
Yep.
on whatever platform, because a lot of people think scams only happen on eBay. They happen on Poshmark too, and they're the same scams. So just know that keep getting the experience, get your footing on the ground, and they will, for the most part, leave you alone. We still get scammed, so I'm not going to say that they completely go away, but at least you'll know what to look for. Watch that video. I have a lot of detailed information about it and what you can do if that happens. But I will say the biggest one is, or I guess the biggest two, are typically they will message you and ask you to do the purchase outside of the platform. They'll tell you to text, they'll tell you to email and give your information out. Do not do that. Always go through the platform and redirect them. And then the second one is, at least on eBay, they will try to offer you more than what your item is listed for. That is also a scam, so do not accept that, and make sure to watch that video.
One other thing on here, she's hold on, we're scrolling here. Talking about hiring people. I know we got this question last time, and what like the appropriate pay is for somebody. I think it definitely depends on your area. First of all, like what are your wages going in your area? Obviously now with prices going up and pay is getting a little bit more competitive, you may have to pay out a little bit more on new hires than what you want to. My recommendation, if you're experimenting with kind of starting somebody new, would be to start with like a 1099, somebody as like an independent contractor, so that way there's no real risk involved with it. Get somebody on just a few hours a week and see how it goes from there. I know with Cayley, when I started, it seemed like a lot of our independent contractors had like a set amount of goals to complete. It didn't matter how long it took them, it just, they had to get so many listings done or so many photos or whatever that looked like. I would recommend starting there. And then you would just have to kind of wager on your area based on price wise on what you think is good for you. I know that's not a direct answer, but considering where you are, that plays a huge role into what you're paying somebody.
We're never going to directly answer and tell you how much to pay somebody per hour or per item, because it's not the same for everybody. Yep. One trick that I do have as far as paying someone as an independent contractor is, whenever we bring anybody on for any task, we always time. How long does it take? And then we divide it out, like what is an average, and we move at a reasonable pace, not, somebody who's super experienced, but not somebody who's brand new. And we just kind of time how much should a task take if you are undistracted, which people get distracted.
I'm always the test timer, because like I'm good at focusing, but I'm not always the quickest at things, since I'm way newer at things than what Cayley is. So that is a good tip.
Yeah. So
we do have Jenny from Wales.
Oh my gosh. Hey, yep, Jenny.
From New South Wales, Australia. 12 is midnight.
You're on here on midnight. Good evening.
Good evening. Sorry, I got sidetracked. I was really excited. She wants to know, what is the advice for people that cannot source good items in the local area and have to travel? Oh God, that's us like all the time. So
I don't know why people think that we just...
It poofs. Yeah. No, we on average drive about an hour and a half each way, which for some of you guys may not seem that far, but it is for us. And so that's, no matter, we do not source in our area whatsoever. Like, I've tried whatsoever. So on any day that we are sourcing, we are guaranteed 2 hours to 3 hours for a round trip. And if we're only working 8 hours a day, that's eating into our time plus your lunch. So you're looking at about 4 hours that we're actually sourcing. So we are very familiar with having to drive. So number one, drive. Be willing to drive to another area and make it worth your time to drive to a place where you're going to be able to hit a cluster of thrift stores. And that may take time of you testing an area and seeing if it's worth your time before you decide to commit to a route. The other thing is like making a full day of it. So, I mean, I kind of restrict Cayley a lot in the fact that I do work an 8-hour day and then we come home. But that being said, like, we know if we hit a good area, we stay late. It's not something that I'm not okay with. I know that if we've got the opportunity, we might as well take it and get it. We also, like I said, rather than doing like 2 half days of going out, we're trying to do whole days, so that we do have more bang for our buck. We are going to the same general areas, and really just trying to get the most time that we can out of those things. You could also choose to online source a little.
Mhm.
If you have like a couple brands that you're really good at, I would tell you to be very careful if you're new, because that can lead you in the wolves, into the weeds, I guess, quite a bit. But if you know, like we have a couple items, I'm not gonna tell you what they are, but a couple of items that we're really good at online sourcing, and those are things that we just go on like once or twice a week to just check to see if they're available anywhere. We buy them online, we ship them to us, and then we flip them and sell them for more. So it's another suggestion.
I would say too, and this, we're gonna put out a video on how to source better items soon. I've actually got most of the footage done, but we just got to sit down and do it like we're doing now. But I'll say that a tip that's worked really well for us is to narrow down your categories, especially if you're just starting out. So let's say you pick jeans and shoes, then make sure that on your route you're going to the same thrift stores every week. That way you can get in and get out and keep going to more thrift stores, because if you're narrowed down to certain categories and you go there every week, when you walk in, you're going to know what are new items and what aren't, and you're going to be able to get through a lot more quickly, and therefore able to get to more thrift stores and get more quality items in your route and make it more worth your while.
Yeah, when we hit the thrift stores, we typically both have like a pattern in each store that we know that we hit. There's things that I go look at, there's things that she goes and looks at. I've been recently kind of beyond just new racks, but shifting towards hitting men's first. Then Cayley runs and typically does shoes first, and then depending on where we are, we'll get together and do like women's jeans or dresses, just depending on where we are. Also depends on the setup of the stores, but she's right. Definitely having a pattern and knowing a way that you're going to run the store before you go in does make a huge difference. Julianne wants to know about utilizing Poshmark's closet clear out, and if we think that it's worth it to drop prices and raise prices through that.
So I'll just say that I don't typically participate in closet clear out in the sense that I'm not actively on there. I don't look for closet clear out days and go, okay, let me take advantage of this. So I'm probably not the best person to take advice on that. I will say that when it comes to Poshmark, everything I have is pretty automated. So I have a virtual assistant that cross posts our items from eBay or from List Perfectly to Poshmark. And then in addition to that, we use Posher VA. There's a link to both that and List Perfectly in the description below. If you've not already used Posher VA, it's awesome, and they also have a free trial, and then there's also a coupon code down below for when you do have to pay. But it automates everything, so it shares for me, it can drop prices for me, it can send out offers. So for both, what's the other Poshmark day? There's closet clear out and there's something else. This is how often we use it, but
yeah, I don't know. I've
yeah,
never heard
but
of
both
so.
of those like sale days, the closet clear out and whatever the other one is, I just automatically participate in those because my Posher VA is sending out offers, or it's automatically dropping prices if I tell it to. So we do not actively participate in that. I personally don't think it's worth it. I would rather see you use something like Posher VA where you're not having to actively work. It's just running in the background. And that's happening every day. You're sending offers or dropping prices. Rather than waiting for closet clear out. But that's just my opinion. Sometimes we do have customers that are like, hey, it's closet clear out, or hey, it's whatever that other one is. Can you drop the price so that I can get the free shipping or whatever, free discounted shipping. So we really don't use it actively.
Talking about promotions on eBay listings, not every listing that we have on eBay is under promoted listings. I do think that from what I've seen that it does help with certain things. Like if you've had something sitting in your closet for a while and it's not selling, then it may be something worthwhile to add to it, or update with. But for the most part, we don't put promotions on listings when we list those. So
yeah, and when we usually wait until an item is pretty old, and then we promote it, and we do it at a very low rate, like 1 or 2%. And that's really just to kind of shake up the algorithm and draw attention to an item that is otherwise not selling.
Cayley's gonna kill me for answering this, but I like committing her to things she doesn't like to. Talking about looking at closets and giving opinions. We have mentioned at some point potentially doing this. I'm not gonna commit to it 100% yet. But we have talked about maybe doing a couple. It would have to be something that we would be able to record for YouTube as like a 2-for-1 deal for us, to show people kind of what to look for. But that is not something yet that we're doing, but it is in the talks. So
we would have to charge for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we would, but it is something we have talked about potentially doing. We again don't know what price point that would look at. We would also want to make sure that we were able to record it for YouTube just to kind of show people what we're looking for. But maybe eventually, Nancy, will get there. If so, we'll let you all know.
Hi, everybody.
Says I've heard $1.50 per item for photographs, but when you're telling me that somebody is just telling that to somebody, it just sounds so low. So as we said, we can't necessarily give you a per price per photo offer. I think you're on the right track as far as thinking like per item. I think that that's definitely the right place to start with somebody. Again, it does depend on your area for sure.
Well, let's think about this for a minute. So if you're paying $1 per, I assume when you say per photo, you're meaning the whole item. Like a set of photos, let's say 10 photos per item. Let's say that you are going to pay $1 per each item photographed. We photograph probably a total of 10 to 12 photos. That includes, all of the photos, including the material, the brand tag, the size, the measurements, several measurements, and then we also make our photographer take a picture of the scale to see how much it weighs. And that's to get everything prepped for our VA to finish listing the item. So for us, we can do about 20 items photographed, including all those things I just mentioned and background removal, about 20 in an hour. So if you're paying $1 per item, that's $20 an hour. And if you tell somebody that in the beginning, if you say in the beginning it's going to be kind of slow, maybe you can only do 10 an hour, so you're making $10 an hour, but you can work your way up to
20 an hour.
20 an hour, and it really depends on how fast you go. That's an incentive for somebody to learn how to work more efficiently, get things done faster, and you're paying them the same amount no matter what. But I would highly suggest that you time it, you know exactly what you're asking them to do and what the reasonable amount of time is that it should take. That way, when you're sitting down with somebody talking to them about this potential position, you can kind of tell them about how long it takes you to do those, so that you can give them a more, even though you're not paying them per hour, you can say this is your potential per hour.
I guess Jenny is not Jenny. Her name is Wendy, and she's from Sydney. So I'm so sorry.
Wendy.
I was like quick reading as these comments were popping up. So I was just really excited to see Australia and that it was midnight, which I thought was really cool. So we do not buy bulk boxes or do online auctions, just because I've actually talked to Cayley about this before, but a lot of times they'll have, say, like 100 huge bins of things you buy. Most times those bins are very similar. Now you have 100 people that have the exact same items that are all competing to sell them at the exact same time. So we do not do that. That's like the quickest, most concise answer I can give you. That's kind of a reason why. Do we think it's possible to be full-time without eBay?
Yes.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think if depending on the platform, I think you could still do it on Poshmark. I still think, you'd have to still put in the same amount of time, but I do think that it's possible. I think it's just how you choose to kind of wrap your time around something new. You'd still have to, I think, invest just as much time in Poshmark as what you do in eBay. So if you're doing it because you think it's going to save you time, I don't think it's going to save you time. But
no,
it's possible.
Poshmark, a lot of people think eBay has a lot of moving parts. Poshmark has a lot of moving parts actually, but luckily you can automate a lot of them. It is possible. There's people who do it. One that comes to mind, which actually I believe she cross posts now, but she didn't used to, was Mogi Beth. If you haven't watched her channel, Mogi Beth, she does majority Poshmark, but she now cross posts onto other things. But she was full-time on Poshmark, and did a great job by herself before she even started hiring people on her team. I will say it is harder, but the platforms are growing. So eBay's probably, besides Amazon, going to be the biggest platform out there. It's going to give you the most bang for your buck if you can master it. But if it's too hard for you and you want to solely focus on Poshmark or Mercari, I would say if you want to go full time, make sure you're only putting your efforts into one platform. That way you can fully master it and put all of your efforts there to get a full-time income before you transition onto other platforms. It is possible, it's just harder.
I'm gonna kind of add on to that. I'm jumping out of order here, but we're talking about whether Poshmark or eBay is more popular in the U.S. I don't know. Like eBay, I definitely think has been around way longer. Like I'm old, aging myself, but I remember ordering stuff on eBay, like even when I was in high school, and being like, "Oh, this is so novel!" Like, ooh. But I mean, it's definitely been around longer. But I think things like Poshmark and Mercari, like they almost seem more app based, where eBay, it obviously does have an app, but as far as like user friendliness, I feel like Poshmark's a little bit easier to look at. It's a little bit more, I don't want to call it trendy, but it is a little bit trendier, and in my opinion, via looks and stuff. I think that eBay probably still is like the number one platform in the U.S. if I had to say right now, but I definitely think Poshmark is coming up pretty close. Like it's growing masterfully, so I would be surprised if it doesn't take over at some point.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by popular, because if by popular you mean the amount of users on the platform, eBay blows it out of the water. Poshmark does not have nearly as many users, but if you're talking about, you know, being user friendly, like she said, or what age group are you talking about? Yeah, Poshmark is.
I think it would be the top.
It's working its way up there pretty quickly.
Yeah. We're talking about stock photos. They want to know if we use stock photos. eBay, we do not, because eBay likes to enforce rules. But I will say sometimes rules are meant to be broken, which is why sometimes you will see stock photos on our Poshmark.
We haven't added any in a long time. I haven't.
The only time I would do that is if I thought it was something that I couldn't get a good enough photo of, like here. We have mannequins and things we try to use first. But if it's something that's like really unique that I think would only sell or would sell better because of what it is, I definitely think that it would be worth adding a stock photo, because honestly, Poshmark doesn't really seem to say much about it. So,
hey guys.
She wants to know about Posh or VA sending out offers. How far does it drop, and if it's not enough, does it lower it more?
I would have to pull up the extension. I don't have it in front of me. I think you can tell it whatever. I know you have to at least do the same way that Poshmark does. You have to at least do 10% and then discounted shipping. As far as offers go, for dropping prices, I feel like you might be able to do a lower percentage. And I think there's a way for you to also give like a benchmark, like do 50% off but don't go below this price. I believe that Posture VA has that. I mostly use it for sending out offers, so I'm usually sending out 10-15% with a small amount of discounted shipping. I haven't used the drop price feature. I just know that you can do it, but get on there and try it, sign up for it. Link is down below, coupon code. You don't even have to enter your credit card in for I think it's a week trial. So just try it out and see. It can't hurt anything.
Talking about using padded USPS envelopes for small items with Poshmark, or can you use your own? I just always use the paddeds because they're free. I mean, you could, I guess, probably use like your own bubble mailer if you wanted, but
are they asking if you can or
if you can? They're asking if you can.
Yes.
I mean, you could, but like you're spending the money on them, so I know it seems like overkill because they're oversized, but at the same time, like I think you're better off to just use the free shipping supplies that you're given. But ultimately, you can put Poshmark in anything that you want to put it in. There are also like smaller envelopes you could use. There's like smaller boxes you could use if you are wanting to. But like thinking about saving time, I generally just put everything in a padded, unless it's like a bra or something that I want to protect. Then I use one of the like small little baby boxes. But if it's free, you might as well just ship those in those, and they're durable.
Yeah, and you can ship in Poshmark anything that is free shipping supplies from USPS that is labeled priority mail. Make sure you're not getting priority mail express, which are blue and white. But the red and white ones that are free, you can use for anything on Poshmark. And why wouldn't you if they're free? Like she said, don't use your own unless you're trying to be fancy, but we put almost everything in a padded flat rate envelope.
Rich wants to tell you hi.
Hi.
Bugsy says they were banned on eBay after 10 minutes of listing their first item. So I'm not sure why. I don't see your comment. I know people kind of were asking what was going on, if it was a Vero or what it was, but I would definitely try to figure out exactly what happened, because it may be something that you could reach out to eBay in reverse and let them know, like, look, this was my first item. I like had no clue what I was doing. Can you send me, the qualifications again so I can read over them, and let them know that it was like a first time listing mistake. Sometimes eBay's pretty good at like understanding that things happen. Worst case scenario, what are they going to do? Tell you no. But yes, absolutely. You could still just start on Poshmark if you wanted to. Start there, do well with it, and then maybe you'll hear back from eBay, and then you could use like List Perfectly or something to cross post to eBay. But it's worth a shot. So
definitely call eBay, and you'll be able to get a hold of them same day. So definitely get a hold of them, figure out what's going on. That doesn't sound right to me, that it would just be banned. I don't know the situation, but it sounds wrong. Hi, everybody.
If you could pick one top clothing category while thrifting for the spring/summer season to make your best return of your time, what would it be?
Shoes.
I was going to rock, paper, scissors it, but that wasn't what I was going to say.
What would you say?
I was going to say dresses. I
yeah.
have found some great like Reformation dresses and things like that lately. Those have a really great sell-through rate. Now, given they're like a little bit more kind of fly in the water, but I think it's like spring and summer. I would think like hiking shoes too, which Cayley says shoes. So I don't know. I would say dresses, because I think that people just buy dresses because they look pretty, and sometimes you can buy like brands that may not even necessarily be top notch but are very trendy that people would buy anyways.
We'll probably do a spring summer sourcing video soon with some tips, hopefully.
What would you say your average daily sales are on eBay?
Go look at my solds. I hate when people ask me to do the work. It's all there. Go look. I would say, so right now we are, and again, we sell on multiple platforms, but right now currently on just eBay alone, we are averaging about $10,000 a month gross on eBay alone. So I'll let you do the math as to how much that is per day.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't. You say you worked for a trademark attorney. Maybe I shouldn't have said something about rules are meant to be broken. But I'm like the rogue one here. So Cayley's the one that has to reel me in all the time, because I'm the one who's like, roll with it.
Yeah, it's against the rules. So we'll just throw that out there. You shouldn't. And we, like I said, we actually haven't for a very long time. There's some older listings that have it. But it's only on Poshmark. And like I said, we haven't for a very long time.
And she'd probably just blame me, so it's fine. Let's see. I'm not sure why. After reaching out to their chat, Facebook, and the only answer I received was very vague. Something about my contact info not being verifiable. I would try.
Sounds like maybe you didn't go through the entire setup process. Contact them. They'll let you know what you need to do.
Yeah, Joe also wants to know about violating the rules with Posher VA. Yes, technically.
No, they changed that.
Oh.
Sorry to cut you off.
Woo! I love when stuff changes.
Yeah, sorry to cut her off. They did. This was a few months ago. They changed, because there was also talk about using List Perfectly and also Posher VA and stuff. Well, any third party platform. They did change that. Now, I will say they didn't straight out come out and say, yes, absolutely, use these things. What they changed it to was use at your own risk. So go back and read that. Everything is a risk. But like I said, they kind of phrased it in a way where they're not saying you can or you can't. They're just saying use at your own risk. So there's that.
So yes, we do Posh or VA. We were limiting it to as far as like shares. We knew that we could only have so many shares before it might flag the account as having a bot. So we made sure to kind of keep that in mind as well. We were only sharing part of our closet like twice a day, so that it didn't go over that threshold. But as she said, that's changed. So um, we use thank you stickers. We do not like gift wrap. I do wrap shoes and stuff in tissue paper to make sure that they look nice, but we used to do thank you cards. We're kind of giving it a test to see how sales go in comparison to see kind of what the feedback is. But honestly, we've been out of thank you cards for probably the last like month, maybe month and a half, and we haven't seen much of a change. So we probably will not go back to those. But we do make sure that like all of our items are folded nice in the bag and that they are shipped in a presentable manner. I don't think you need to like go above and beyond on those, but I think that just a little thank you sticker and like nice folding and presentability does go a long way. So just a heads up on that.
So we are at our time, guys. We'll finish through Patricia NYC's question, and then we will have to get off of here because we need to go sourcing.
Keyword strings, you use the whole string or occasionally delete. Yes, so we delete some of those. Those are just kind of a vibe, to be honest. When I first started, I used those keyword strings every day when I was doing listings. Now I just kind of know what goes with it. If for some reason I like get stuck and I'm like, okay, I need another word, then that's when I would go and reference that.
Let me say too, real quick, if you do purchase that document, it is not in your best interest to just copy and paste those if they do not apply.
Yes.
So the point of that document is to copy paste and then delete what you don't need. Because if you're putting stuff that doesn't apply, you're bringing buyers to your item that aren't going to want to purchase it, and you're bogging yourself down in search.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're getting rid of things that don't qualify. Authentication services. This is something that we've kind of talked about a little bit. Anything that we get that's like top notch, a lot of times we'll send into like the real, not for authentication, but just because we know that it's like a guaranteed, they have somebody look at it and it's still a sale, and it saves us from having to worry about like Veros and things on eBay. But there is an option on Mercari that does offer authentication. I know that there's like a price qualification, like I don't know what it is, but it's like so many, say $500 or more in value, you have to pay so much. Otherwise, below that, it's free. You'd have to really check into that. But I know we do have a couple YouTube friends that we've talked to about it, and they do use it regularly and really like it. So
yeah, I'll just jump in and say, they specifically mentioned Bape. I assume that is a men's item. What I would do, this is just me. What I would do is, if you have a Grailed account, I would go onto Grailed and I would list the item on Grailed because they have an authentication process. I think it's over like $350. You'd have to see, but last time I listed something kind of expensive in the men's category for a brand like that, I made sure to list past that dollar amount. They gave me an authentication. Like they went through a process, authenticated, and gave me an authentication. And then I used that authentication on other platforms. So I would either, like she said, send to the real if you're really worried about it, or I would, if it were me, I would list it on Grailed.
Yeah, so those are both really good options. I would say, when in doubt, definitely avoid eBay for sure, because that's going to be a bigger issue. Most times with Poshmark, if you do make a mistake, they're going to reach out to you and you could accept a refund or tell them to just trash it and refund the money. But obviously, if it's a higher end item, you're probably selling that for quite a bit and don't want to offer a refund. Obviously, you want to sell it and you want it to be real. But Grilled is another good option I wasn't thinking of. Patricia said she was asking about realistically listings and things, sales for us. For us to get to about the 3,000 a week goal. Right now, we're listing 140 items a week. We do plan on increasing that to about 190 here decently soon. But again, we're struggling to source with us being off and stuff these last couple of days. So I think it's going to take us a couple months to get there. If you're looking at trying to get as many listings as what we are with selling about 3,000 a week, I would tell you to definitely look at increasing and doing about 20 a day. But again, each thing's different. It depends on what you're picking up. It depends on what your prices are. It depends your resale value. It depends on how much you're spending.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of values in that. But we currently do 140 items a week,
and we have how many listed? Because that'll help in her calculation.
It's like 4,800, I think, total in the store, in the eBay store. That's a guess. I know we're probably a little bit more than that now, but about.
And just keep in mind too, yes, we have about 4,800 listed, but I would say probably half of those items are not quality items that have been in my store for a very long time before I started focusing on sell-through rate that I am now liquidating through. So if you're a newer reseller and you only have, a few hundred or whatever, or you're starting from scratch, if you focus on 100% sell-through rate or more and focus on picking better items up from the very beginning and research everything that you're picking up, you'll get there a lot faster than over 4,000 items. You might be able to achieve that with 2,000 items, or like she said, 1,000 items if you have a higher average sale price than us. So when I say these numbers, I just want to make sure you have the whole picture, because it's just too easy for people to come on and go, okay,
I have to have 4,800 listings to sell that. And it's not. And honestly, like, there's a lot of things we've had for a while that we're like marking super cheap to get rid of because it's stuff we shouldn't have picked up. Our new philosophy right now is 30 days or 90 days in, 90 days out. So right when you're comping items, we're looking at sold within the last 3 months. Our goal is to sell that within 3 months. And if we're not selling it within 3 months, that's when we're going to start marking down or starting the markdown process for us so that we don't have stuff. Where a lot of this stuff has been here before I started last year. So just kind of something to think of as well. As we said, that's going to be the last question for today. We do plan on potentially getting on Friday, but for sure next Monday. We're going to commit to at least Mondays. Maybe you'll get lucky and get to see our faces again on Friday. But we will be glad to answer any questions that we missed in the comments. So once this video does get posted, if you have anything that like you need clarification on that we already talked about a little bit, you need a little bit more detail, feel free to drop the rest of the comment down there. And we will do our best to get to it here as soon as we can. Yes, this video will be available later. And we can try to link some of the videos and things we talked about in the
There's about 80 people watching, which it was about that much the last live, so I assume it's a lot of the same people. Thanks for getting on, guys. Hopefully as we're consistent, we can help each other in the chat as well. I see some people that have been kind of answering other people's questions, so that's awesome.
That makes my heart happy. So I'm glad you guys can help each other. That's ultimately the goal, is for us to like create a community where you guys can all help each other too. So hopefully we'll make some friends between you guys as well, and you guys can continue to help each other business go as well.
Yeah, hey, real quick guys, take a second and hit the like button before you get off of here. Really helps our channel out. There's only 21 likes and we've got like 80 people watching, so take a couple seconds, help us out, hit that like button. It does help. And if you do like these lives and you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell down below. You'll get notified as I schedule lives and as we go online.
Last question, because it asked, it was from Joe. You were asking about whether we will answer the first questions that were left as first for next week.
No.
Cayley says no, but I would tell you to, if it's something that you are really curious about, jot it down and plan on commenting it next time. I was planning on screenshotting it so I could answer it for you when we were done, but my tablet just literally crashed. It died. So
the reason I say no is because I'm not going to commit to keeping track of that, and the chat it does show up, but there's a lot of steps for me to like download it, record all of that, and so if you guys could just hold your questions until next one and then pop them in. And what helps, and I meant to say this in the beginning, but what really helps as the chat starts, more and more people get on, and as the chat starts getting bigger and moving faster, put a bunch of question marks in your comment, and we'll be able to see it. And if we answer a question and then you're noticing that we're like skipping towards the bottom, put your question in the chat again. It's not a perfect system. YouTube isn't perfect, so if we miss your question, it's not on purpose. It's just the chat's moving quickly it's not popping up during the right time. So just make sure to revisit that question for next week, or like she said, put it down in the comments below. I do
once the video is posted.
Yeah, once the video is posted. That way I can get notified and see them. I try to answer those as I can.
Yep.
All right.
Good. Thanks for spending happy Monday morning with us.
Yes, thank you guys.
We will see you guys next time.
Bye.
I love her face in the corner.